I've talked before about government spending more than it brings in. We have a budget deficit, and we've had one since 2000. In April this year, the OBR produced their forecast for how much government would spend in the 2025 to 26 tax year. Now, of course, a lot's happened since then, but we have to have some numbers to start with. The OBR forecast that government income in taxes and other income to government would be 1.229 trillion, and that outgo would be 1.347 trillion. That leaves us with a deficit of £118 billion. Now, however unpalatable it might be, we have to recognise that we need to address that deficit. The top 5 things that we spend money on are health and social care, pension benefits, debt interest, education, and universal credit. If we start off with health and social care, I think everybody agrees that that arbitrary distinction between the two is unhelpful, and we need to look at them together. Our health service is often thought of as being not-for-profit, but in reality, it's built on thousands of GP surgeries that are owned privately and operated on a for-profit basis. There has to be a better way of doing that. But a big overhaul of our NHS would take time. In the meantime, we need to make sure that we do our best to make that service as efficient as possible. One thing we can do is make sure that we train our own healthcare professionals. On social care, we need a national care service so that we have consistent services of care across the country, and that we stop relying on venture capital organisations to make provision for us. On pension benefits, we need to recognise that the triple lock is not sacrosanct. We need policies that unite the generations, not divide them. And for benefits both before and after retirement, we need to think carefully about items like housing benefit. That money will be much better off being spent on the actual building of houses rather than on paying housing benefit. On personal independence payments, we have to tackle the ballooning costs associated with this element of our benefit system. One thing we can do is bring back in-person assessments and to focus on helping people back into work. Too often we just throw people on the scrap heap. That's not good for the economy, but it's also not good for the people involved. A general point is that we need to reintroduce the contributory principle on benefits. Benefits are a safety net for people who have contributed. They're not a handout for everybody. All these things are really difficult issues to tackle, but we need to tackle them together as a nation.